Thank you all so much for joining our November release day webinar today. And it sounds like Caitlin got the form taken care of, so you should be able to see the link in the chat to be able to fill that out. We're very, very thrilled all of you came to join us today. It's Dee, Andy, and myself again. We're going to go through a number of things. We have a lot of exciting updates to share with you today. And so with that, I think we'll kick everything off and start going through. So first up, I'm going to talk about the things that were released in November. And one of the big items that was released is our third-party application updates. We updated to have a much more comprehensive catalog, and we set it so that now you can update if present for any applications, custom applications, and also the entire catalog that you have set up within your patching policies. We're hoping this is going to add a lot of ease of use within the third-party patching and just give you a lot more customization so that you can, as you take on new clients, you actually can keep those applications up to date. And then the next thing is we released the Syncro employee time clock within the Syncro mobile app. And the goal here is that your technicians, while they're on the go, they don't have to leverage anything outside of just their mobile device with a very, very simple time clock so that they can manage their time and it will update across the system so that you can actually leverage it. Again, our goal here is technician efficiency so that while you're on the go, you don't have to think about needing to open the Syncro web app and you can do everything directly in your mobile device.
And then just a quick note on this too, when you mentioned ticket efficiency, this also rolls into our ticket efficiency reports, our ticket utilization report. So if you can just calculate an 8-hour workday if you want, but if you want exact times for your technicians and you're using this, we'll actually pull in this data as well.
All right, next up, I'm going to talk a little bit about reporting. And one thing that we've heard, I think loud and clear from everyone, is you all wanted the ability to have reports on tickets that don't include all of your tickets, especially reports that have metrics in them. And so we've added the ticket view filters basically to be available for you in both the executive report, summary report builder, and the internal report builder. So essentially, as you're building out those reports, all you need to do is select a ticket view that you want to apply to that report, and it's only going to pull those tickets in. So you might want to exclude project tickets or certain types of tickets, or maybe you want to, have a report that's just for a specific customer and a specific type of tickets. There are all different types of ways you can do this. So it'll allow you to kind of slice and dice and be able to look at your metrics and see them in a report only reflecting the tickets that you'd like them to. If we move on, we have some other reporting, like smaller updates that we've made as well. And I'm going to talk more about roadmap for reporting in a few, but we've added a new time period option to the report builders as well. So you can do today, yesterday, this week, last week, to kind of just give you a lot more flexibility there. Something we've heard from a lot of you as you're looking at these reports that you want to be able to do. We've also made just a bunch of I think changes and updates, to like ticket tags displaying correctly, some improved accuracy, some other smaller changes. You can feel free to go through release notes if you want to see the laundry list of all the things. But we are kind of behind the scenes. Hopefully you'll just notice these things in your day-to-day and they won't bother you anymore if they're just fixes and updates we made. In the land of quality of life, we've also done a lot of work around tickets and ticket views. The list is lengthy. We have, and I think Kristen will talk a little bit more about this as well. One of the things in this area we're focused on a lot is performance of the ticket view page, and we've been making a lot of enhancements and improvements there. We've added a really nice setting to the labor log that allows you to now choose what auto fills for you when you're hopping into the labor log. So we heard from a lot of you that you like the quick fill in, but you wanted to be able to have control of whether is it 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 or 60, what's your default for that one click. And so now you can just go right into your ticket preferences and you'll get control over how that labor log fills out for you by default. We've also, just made some updates to like calculating resolution time time, so it will accurately reflect your SLA metrics. So if you want to remove those pauses as part of your SLA, we'll now respect that as we're looking through that. And we've done some other things in and around worksheets. And so a lot of updates, once again, in the ticket area, and more to come in the roadmap section as well. And then I guess another slide on kind of the quality of life updates. As you can all see, we've taken it to heart that you really wanted us to focus on trying to get through, kind of the smaller requests, the things that are either not working right for you. And so we've really been doubling down on making these changes so that hopefully you just feel your day-to-day experience getting smoother. So a couple of notable things here to call out. One is just this ability to set maintenance mode in a bulk action. So if you're going to be doing service work at one of your clients, you want to easily just do a saved asset search, kind of get all the machines that you want to pop into maintenance mode so you can go do your work and not be bombarded by alerts. We've made that a whole lot easier. We've also added in the Syncro Cloud Backup products, which we announced and released last month, we've added just a couple of notifications for cloud backup. So we've added notifications so you know when your first backup has been completed, since that first one sometimes takes a little bit of time, depending on how much data is there. And then we also give you an alert if anything has happened and your tenant has been disconnected for some reason. So a couple of updates there on Syncro Cloud Backup. All right, and then new training. I'm not sure how many folks have spent time. I think a lot of people are in our Doc Center and going through the Doc Center. We've added a new section to the Doc Center. We're building it out. It's training guides. And the idea here is for us to have, kind of walkthroughs of the tasks you're trying to get done. So less of a description of overall how does a page work, but more of like, what are you trying to get done and what's the step-by-step so you can get there. So these are pretty lightweight, they're flexible, there's a lot of short video content in here, and we've gotten great feedback from folks that this is how you want to consume content, not big, hour-long or 90-minute long video pieces, but rather some text, some short video. And so we've put that in the Doc Center, more to come. We update it all the time. And I do know there is a feedback button on all of these things. Our team does read and respond to those little doc feedbacks and makes changes and adds things to the doc as well. If there's anything in there you see that is confusing or whatever, feel free to pop some feedback in there. And then just to let folks know, I know there are not many people using it still, but the Syncro Academy, by the end of the year, we are going to sunset the Syncro Academy once we have all of that content and more in the Doc Center. Back to Kristen.
And so before we kick off early access, I did want to just make a very quick note, like Dee said, on the performance and stability and just a renewed focus on the engineering side. We have been really working hard across the year to deliver a bunch of new features. We have a lot of product launches that have come out, and we're thrilled that all of you have been so excited about that. But there's a hard balance of driving towards a lot of new features and kind of focusing on things within the platform. And so just about over a month ago, we made a big transition to focus a huge portion of our team's effort on, like Dee said, like some of the smaller items within the platform and also bugs, performance, and stability. And so we've been doing a lot of work in this area, especially around the tickets page, in performance, but just kind of any defects or things that come through our technical support team. I'm hoping that any of you have seen maybe some of that responsiveness that we've started to really build within our engineering team and making sure that we're tackling a lot of the things that we know are nagging you and that are causing issues. So we'll continue to have a big area of focus there and making sure that we're focusing on stability. We're also doing a bunch of work kind of on our infrastructure side and making sure that our infrastructure is more resilient. We've had a number of really large cloud provider outages within the last couple months with AWS and Azure. And so we're doing a lot on our side with what we can do to really try to mitigate things and to make sure that our infrastructure and the application overall is really as stable as it possibly can be. So we're going to continue to have that as a big area of focus for us and just hope that all of you could start to see a lot of big improvements in that area. But we're not slowing down on some of the other things we're working on. So we do have some really exciting early access things, and the first is our co-managed support permissions. We've really expanded the co-managed permissions that you can add within your technicians to limit their access across your whole Syncro platform. So we know that previously you could run scripts, now you can edit them, you can favorite them, your users can do a huge amount of other things with assets. You can specify things with reports. There's a lot of detail that you can go in here. It's been in early access for a bit, and we're working very closely with a lot of these, and the feedback's been really positive on that. So if you're interested in joining that early access, please feel free to sign up. And then the second one that we're really excited to come into early access, this is for everyone, not just for co-managed permission, but it is closely related, is script access by category. This will go into early access later this month, but it's going to allow you to control script access by a category that you assign, and you can assign those to user groups. So maybe it is for co-managed, and you can categorize your scripts by that customer or by how you want to use it, but maybe you want to give more of your junior technicians access to some scripts, but maybe not all of them. And so you can limit the categories. It will help with your security, and it will help your team to be able to work effectively there. And now I'm going to pass it over to Andy to talk about Marketplace.
Yeah, the script category thing, I'm excited for that one too. That's kind of badass, that one. Excited for all the new functionality there. Just a few quick updates for me this month. We kicked off our upcoming Iron Scales integration last month, and that's moving along pretty well. I've received a lot of questions personally on this one, specifically around timing. I know there's quite a few people that are eager to migrate your Iron Scales accounts over to Syncro to benefit from the universal billing integration, and then also quite a few of you on hold waiting to spin up new instances as well. So I don't have an exact ETA for you all just yet, but we're still targeting a Q4 release, so we're generally still on track there. And then for folks just hearing about Iron Scales for the first time, they're an email security vendor similar to Proofpoint, but they use Microsoft's APIs exclusively instead of routing mail flow through their service first. And because of that, one of their claims to fame is the ability to onboard and protect a large swath of customers, or just a huge customer in general, almost immediately as the need arises. So just like the vast majority of our marketplace vendors, there are no minimums or time-based commitments to meet with Iron Scales, and all support, including tier 1, will be handled by Iron Scales directly. So we'll be excited to get that one out here shortly. And then we had a little bit of a shift here in priority for what's coming next in regard to Marketplace. We've promoted Microsoft 365 license support for universal billing due to popular requests. So this is what we're working on next, right behind Iron Scales. And I know a lot of folks who personally are very, very excited for this one. Kind of like backups, billing for Microsoft 365 licenses is just a massive time suck that universal billing was perfectly designed to solve. So hopefully all those admin billing nightmares will be coming to an end for you guys here shortly, especially with this rollout. Now, one comment I want to add to this is that universal billing as a feature set is available to all plans, but for M365 specifically, this is going to be exclusive to the team plan just because it requires the Entra Sync functionality to work, which is a native part of our team plan. It'll work just like any other universal billing integration we've delivered to date, which means we'll be able to allocate licenses to be included as part of your managed services contracts, automatically have those quantities change on your invoices as they change in your M365 tenants, and optionally include them on your invoices even when they would otherwise represent a $0 charge to showcase this to your customers. So if you include this with your managed services contract and you just want to show the count with a $0 bill to show some value, you can do that. If you've got any customers where you include up to X amount of licenses for free and they'll pay over that, you can structure that, that's fully supported as well. So beyond that, the same items I talked about last month still remain in our queue. Phase 2 of our threat down integration and additional support for vendors with universal billing as well, including Bitdefender, Webroot, and AutoElevate. All right, so with that said, I'm going to kick it back to you, Dee, to go over our roadmap.
All right. So with that, I want to walk through the roadmap. I'm going to start with a couple of more long-running projects and things that we have heard loud and clear that we want to work on and need to make improvements on, but they're not a one-hit and done type of project, right? So these are projects that they'll take a little work and probably a series of projects in order to make the progress that we need to make. So first up, project management. And so, we released, we talked about it earlier today, that ability to look at your ticket views, separately in reports, to look at your reports based on a ticket view, so you can maybe filter out your project tickets. But we're going to be delivering a series of projects, and I'll walk through what some of them are, around like making sure you can easily and quickly create projects, that you can execute them, and that it's efficient for the technicians, that they can be monitored and you can see progress, that it's easy to communicate, and they're easy to bill for, right? So we've talked to a lot of folks about project management, and we've heard, a bunch of different pain points into, what you're trying to get done, how this works. And we are going to be working to combine a series of projects to basically save you time, help ensure consistency, and just, make sure working in, the construct of Syncro that you can effectively build and manage projects. So with that, let me take you through the first set of projects that are kind of on the near-term horizon for project management. And so the first one we've already mentioned, which we've completed, is that you can leverage ticket views in the report builder. So that way your metrics automatically reflect the right tickets for each report. So if you want to have just something that shows your projects or something that does not show your projects, we've now made that possible. We are also in process, and I will show this in a minute or so, on updating the parent ticket so that all the child ticket details, status, assignees, due dates, progress are available to you right inside that parent ticket. So you can get kind of that nice overarching view in the parent ticket. Next up, we're actually creating something called ticket blueprints that I'll talk about in a minute, but they're going to allow you to basically blueprint out a project. And if you have a project that repeats over and over again, maybe it's onboarding a client, onboarding a user, whatever, setting up a specific type of machine. If you have a project that's repetitive, you're going to be able to create a nice little blueprint for it and then just be able to stamp out new ones without having to start from scratch over and over again. And then we're going to walk down, basically allowing you to visually manage the parent and child ticket charges by updating the billing module so that you can actually see what you're charging for. And then we're going to allow you to exclude project-related tickets from recurring billing, right? So we're going to allow you to have a new issue type or link type to filter out those items from your billing if you want to be able to do that. More to come, but these are the ones, like I said, that we're marching down first. And I think you all, or most folks on here that have been here for a while, know that I much prefer to under promise, over deliver. So we will be doing more, but these are the things that are absolutely on task for us right now. And so first, here's a picture of the child ticket summary. This is a work in progress. So you can already see there's a new module that's going to give you just much more information about the child tickets. Like in this example, it's pretty clear the project manager hasn't yet assigned that last child ticket, right? They haven't determined a due date. You can just see it, that it's out there, it's hanging out there. And don't worry, this will be color coded before it reaches production for us. So right now it's black and white still, but as I said, it's work in progress screen. Next up is this idea of ticket blueprints. And so here, as I mentioned, you're going to be able to quickly create either projects or tickets, that have a standardized, set of things, right? So you're going to be able to create, a parent blueprint. You're going to be able to create child blueprints. Within those, you can, add worksheets. You can fill out any of the information in them that you want to be the default. And then when you go to create a new ticket, you're going to be able to just optionally apply a blueprint to that ticket. And if you've applied a blueprint that has, a parent, 5 children, all these default settings, it's basically going to create those for you. So you have this nice starting place for any new projects or any new tickets that are just more complex and that you want to have a nice blueprint to save you time and make sure that you're standardizing and consolidating. So more to come on that, but some exciting stuff in the land of project management. Next up, another kind of large area of product update where we're spending a lot of time and focus is in and around reporting. And once again, this will also appear to you as a few things. It's going to be a series of projects to enhance existing reports. And then we're going to do some things around Power BI templates to allow you to custom report. And then ultimately, we're going to have a redesigned reporting interface, a redesigned reporting module for you to really interact with us in a different way around reporting. Improving the existing reports, I'll walk through in the more detailed roadmap. I can walk through some of the quick hits to existing reports that we're doing to just kind of relieve some of the acute, pain points or data missing, getting things into CSV, kind of all the things we've heard as we've been talking to all of you and you've submitted your feedback. And thank you for all of that. It's really, really helpful. The second project here is Power BI templates. And some of you might be aware, we do have today inside of our team plan a Power BI app. There's one issue with that, which is right now that app is not something that's editable by you. So you can't use it as a starting place to do additional work or make small changes or tweaks. It's kind of an all or nothing. And so what we're going to be doing is launching, and we'll be working closely with Jess and community because we've been loving the activity in community and really hoping to get some conversations going out there. And so we'll be launching some Power BI templates in community, allowing you to take them, download them, edit them, make them your own. We'll have some simple instructions for how you hook them up together. We'll even host a power hour if folks are interested in a power hour for that. And then we are going to make these available to all the plans. So we're not leaving this in team plan. We are kind of taking this down into core so that everyone can have access to do this. And we think with these templates, some simple instructions, it should be pretty great for you to be able to get some level of customizable reporting in your Power BI. And then from there, where, more to come, kind of future reports reimagined. You can imagine there's a lot happening with how people are interacting with data and working with data. So we have a lot of experimentation and work going on around what's the right way for us to reimagine reporting. And so it's a little bit more on the horizon than these other two, which are much more near term, but we are looking at how can we reimagine how we deliver reports to you and how we give you the data you need to answer the questions you're trying to answer. So a quick stroll through the roadmap for anything we haven't talked about already, just to make sure we get this in front of folks. And so this first slide is things that are, kind of actively in development, should be releasing all pretty soon. As I look at these, you'll see a bunch of these, even in our next webinar, will be in your hands. And so new things on this list, we already talked about, I think, the whole left-hand column with co-managed permissions and script access. Kristen covered, Andy covered iron scales. The Linux agent, we are getting so close on the Linux agent. I think we're getting that agent into a small subset of people's hands before we do a broader early access because we just want to make sure that we're fully buttoned up for phase 1 of the Linux agent. As a refresher, phase 1 is really some basic system information, some online status, and then we're immediately moving into phase 2 where we add more capability. The first couple of reporting things that we're doing, an asset view export to CSV so you can easily just extract all your asset information. So if you want to just be able to customize all your columns and do a saved asset search and then just jam that into a CSV really easily, you're going to be able to do that. And then the second one that we've already talked about is this idea of a Power BI template hub so that you can access and customize, some ready-made Power BI templates that we'll be building for you. We are also, and I should have talked about this when I did reporting overall, it just spaced, but we're also going to be doing a lot of updates to our API behind the scenes to support all these reporting efforts, right? I think you've seen over time, we've been adding things. Most months we add a couple of things to our API. I think you'll see that accelerate a bit, and we'll be building out a lot more in our API so that it'll just be a much more full, rich experience for folks working with that. And then the mobile app, we are adding ticket filtering, which will sort of have similar capability to what you get in the web app today to be able to, just filter, view, and work with your tickets. So it's just less cumbersome in the mobile app to do that. All right, InDesign, Microsoft 365 billing. We are working on expanding our baselines as well. Our Stripe ACH option work is actually, I'll probably move that into work underway. By the time we're together next, we're through the design phase and into the coding phase, and then the Linux agent next phase we already mentioned. I think I have an InDesign continued since I had so many projects that are kind of getting ready to head into engineers' hands. And so on the next slide, I have 3 reporting projects. Adding filters so that you can filter for billable charge and actual time, display your ticket subjects and total time in that ticket time entry report. So just a bunch of enhancements to ticket time entry to kind of give you a lot more flexibility there. Adding top 5 devices to the exec summary report so you can see which devices are experiencing the most issues. Just make it super easy to have those customer conversations where you're like, here's where the problem is. And then the ability to better track kind of unbilled work. And so create a date, technician, ticket subject in your pending ticket charges. So you can really easily make sure that you have actionable, data for billing analysis. And then ticket blueprints, which we already talked about. All right, almost through the roadmap. Initial planning, well, we talked about project management, this idea of easy app uninstall, silently uninstalling applications. We've heard that request loud and clear. Products, bundles, so kind of improving the way you work with bundles and invoicing, script change logs to track who's run scripts along with detailed logs, reporting enhancements we've already started talking about, chat, stability, and usability enhancements, as well as improvements to the Mac agent are all things that are a little bit farther out for us, but in planning. And then I have one additional slide, which is half reporting, half project management for kind of additional projects that are coming down the pike in both of these areas. And so I won't talk through all of these in great detail, but for the reporting, it's a few more reports, especially around tickets, because we've seen a lot of requests sitting around ticket reporting. And then from a project management perspective, it's not only helping on the ticket creation side and those things that we've already talked about, but also on how do your end users see this and how do you bill for it, and kind of make sure that everything is clear from a billing and kind of customer focused perspective for project management. So with that, Andy, you wanted to talk a little bit about community before we head into the Q&A section?
Yeah. Just last thing quick before we hit Q&A. We've been making some big investments, and you've heard us talking about them in our community forums over the past 6 months or so. And we've actually been seeing record high activity there month over month since we officially launched that. So a big thank you to all of you that have been heavily participating there. It was exactly what we were hoping to see. It's become a primary source for all Syncro related things, from feature release announcements to scheduled content for things like webinars like this one, other promotions and things that we have going on as well. It's also a place that you want to go to ask questions and interact with Syncro folks outside of us doing this once a month. That includes everybody on this call. A lot of our product folks are on there as well. And of course, Jess, our fearless community manager, is there all the time. And lastly, it's really the best place to go interact with fellow Syncro customers, whether that's, asking platform questions, best practices, or even discussing MSP business type things, like marketing or sales strategies and things like that. All that said, much like the core Syncro platform, we will never stop trying to make it better. And we'd, of course, love your help to do that. So we've spun up an anonymous survey where you can give your feedback on how we can improve the platform and how we're presenting information to you all. We'll be dropping a link here to that survey in the Zoom chat, and we'd really appreciate any feedback that you could all give us there so we can help to just continuously improve that going forward. All right, so with that said, that's all the prepared content we have for today. So let's jump into some Q&A.
All right, first up here, I see a question from Tom asking about sample reports to show the changes we've made. This is a great call out. And what we'll do is we will start to put some sample reports in community for you all too, so you can actually see them there as we're building them. And then as we go forward in these webinars, I'll try to make sure we get some samples so that we can show them and walk through some samples with y'all live. It's a great call out.
Jeff had a question about, can we get a way to track the results of bulk actions like scripts, or if I run a script against 20 devices, I want to see the result. So on our roadmap, which Dee just briefly touched on, but we have our script log history and changes audit log that's coming, that's in design right now, and that is one of the key areas that we're hoping to tackle within that. And so you'll be able to see through that project items, actions that happened on the scripting side, what users ran the script, and drill into pieces like that, similar to the bulk actions. So, Jeff, you'll see that coming on in the roadmap in the near term.
A couple of universal billing questions. ETA from Microsoft Universal Billing. We'll say Q1, and I think that's probably a fair estimate. It's immediately taking place right after Iron Scales, and that one, I literally say an exact date, but hopefully weeks, not months on that one. So yeah, this should be Q1 when you see that. Someone's asking if Universal Billing will create separate line items for every single product. What it will do is you will add them. We'll pull in all the usage, and when you are on a and I'll do a demo of this next month. When you pull up a recurring invoice, it will show you that specific customer, all their usage. You can select anything that's currently has usage, and add it to the recurring line item for the recurring invoice. And then from there, anytime those counts change, it will automatically change. You will map that to a product you have in Syncro, which is, of course, what you map to like Xero or QuickBooks for accounting to drop into that specific bucket for reporting. But yeah, once you've got it in there and you've got it mapped, it'll just continuously change those counts as they update in your M365 tenants. For Microsoft 365 Universal Billing, will there be an option to bill for all licenses, including unassigned licenses? Most of our clients are signed up for annual M365 licensing. And if an employee leaves and the license is unassigned, we will still charge them for it until their annual renewal. That's a good question, Neil. Yes, that's actually the default way it's going to work. Typically, it's taking any usage which you are theoretically paying for, and it's going to bring it into the recurring invoices for you to bill for. So even if it's unallocated within an M365 tenant, you're still eating that cost. So if for some reason folks on this call, because this is something we were just discussing internally, have a good use case where you wouldn't want to bill for unallocated licenses, even though you're paying for them, let us know. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there very well could be some. And then someone's asking if is universal billing with M365 only going to work if you're getting the licensing from us? So in terms of Microsoft 365 specifically, you cannot buy Microsoft licensing through Syncro. So yes, whoever you go through today, you would continue to do. When you sync Entra with Syncro, your different tenants, not only are we pulling in the contacts, we're pulling in their licensing. So that's the data that we're going to use for universal billing, so you don't have to buy it from us. For everything else that's in our marketplace, like Iron Scales and ThreatDown and Acronis and things like that, you do have to be purchasing the licensing from us, but M365 will be the single exception there.
Oh, I'll grab a couple more questions now. So first one from Mark, any Copilot integrations in the works? And the answer is we're actively investigating work in Copilot and starting to run some small pilots with folks. If you have something you'd like to see us do, if you have a specific use case, a specific pain point where you're like, this is how I'd really like to use it, what I'd like to use it for, feel free to put it in product feedback, put it in the chat here in the webinar. Always interested to hear how people are using things. Everything is changing really quickly, but we're pretty excited to be starting to offer some of this as we head into the new year. You'll hear and see a lot more from us in this area. All right, and then one more question I had was, are you going to be exposing more full data to Power BI? And so the plan for right now is to continue to have folks leverage our API in connecting to Power BI, and we'll continue to expand on that. So there'll be more and more types of data, more flexibility of data available as we go. We'll be able to leverage that in a bunch of different ways with integrations as well. And so really beefing up the API is a focus for us.
All right, I have a couple, Dee, while you go through the list. Thank you all for asking. There's a lot of great questions here. So one, which I actually just learned this, is the auto mapping of devices to users in M365. So That does technically exist today, but unfortunately it's a one-time sync. It's not continuously updated, similar to the rest of the M365 sync. So we have a bunch of work in the next year that we're going to be continuing to do in this. So I'm going to look at this maybe on the quality of life and see that we can, if we can get that updated to recurring, because today it does in the initial sync when you set up your M365, it pulls in the devices from Entra alongside those users. And if that asset exists in Syncro, it will map them together. Going forward, we have a lot that we'd love to do to map with more devices or pull Intune devices in and do a deeper integration there. But that's probably in the next year. And then Andy touched on this one, but it was phrased a little bit differently, so I just want to make sure. The 365 count, it is leveraging the Microsoft integration rather than relying on the vendor. So if you're using the Pax8 integration today, that pulls in all the licenses that you purchase from Pax8, and that's how you can bill them there directly. This will leverage the CSP access directly in the tenant and tell you how many licenses you have within that tenant, so that you can actually bill directly there, which I know there can be a discrepancy between those two different things.
Yeah, and then somebody was asking specifically another question about that. Are you able, basically they're asking if you're able to still track usage if you're not doing invoicing through Syncro for some reason, and the answer is yes. There's a report that will show you everything across all the vendors that are supported in one like unified report. And basically what Kristen was saying also, if you want to pull in the licensing from Pax8, you can still use the Pax8 integration and use the universal billing integration just to report inside Syncro if you want. So you're not limited to one with M365. You've got a lot of options there. Jose's asking if we have an Acronis integration. We actually just launched universal billing, our billing integration with Acronis a couple weeks ago. So yes, we have that. And then if you want to do deployments and things, we have some scripts in our community script library for that, as well as monitoring for devices that haven't backed up in X amount of days successfully and things like that. Somebody's saying, I'd love to see a demo of what this looks like for universal billing, like threat down. Could we do a demo how partners are using it? Tell you what, I'm going to drop a link to what we did with Acronis. It's basically the same thing for everything else that we're adding into it. And then I promise next release webinar, I'll do a live demo of whatever you guys want, Acronis threat down, whatever you want to see. We can walk through that. You guys can see what we got there. But I'll drop a link to a video for Acronis so you guys can take a look at that now in the Zoom chat.
Great. I have a few questions that came in about Stripe ACH. And so basically asking updates, timeline, also the ability to add surcharges into payments. And so the team is working on this project. We're moving into the, kind of full engineering mode. I am hopeful we'll have this in folks' hands in Q1, or at least in some folks' hands in Q1. And then we are also planning to add that ability to pass along credit card fees, because we know that's something that we've heard that folks would also really like to do, to be able to kind of pass along those surcharges in a way that is within the confines of where you live and what you're able to do, and kind of making sure that that's all packaged up in a way that's, kind of simple as well as compliant with all the local rules that folks have to operate under. One other question was, a bunch of questions on API. And some suggestions, like I'd love to be able to create asset types, and I'd love to be able to do all these different things. I love the suggestions. Thank you for putting them in here. I will do my very best to move these over and make sure they kind of get added into our feedback. But as always, you can feel free to also pop them directly into feedback. I think we do a pretty good job of trying to cull through this webinar and make sure we don't leave anything behind. But absolutely, those are things we've heard, and we'll consider as we build out the API.
There's a few questions around Linux. So one was, what versions of Linux are planned to be on the table? So for initial release, we're going to be supporting for sure the Ubuntu LTS version, so 2004 and up. We know that there's a bunch more that people are interested in, and those will come kind of after the fact. If there are things outside of that, please feel free to submit feedback, and we'll follow up on there. And then the second one was, will Splashtop be included? Linux currently works with a standalone Splashtop, but will that be in for phase one? Today, our plan is to go into EA without this, but to have it as part of GA when we launch. So currently in progress working on it. We know that it's a critical piece for us to go GA with the full Linux agent, but for people in EA, we want to work on the install of the agent. We want to make sure that it functions properly, that it's not consuming too much memory, that there's a lot of things that we want to test outside of kind of the standalone, like with Splashtop directly built in, but we plan to have that for GA.
Couple other questions. One was around child tickets, and it's, can child tickets kind of also have child tickets, or is this something we're going to work toward? And I think the idea of this question is that what folks would really like is to have, kind of a multi-tiered way to have, maybe a parent ticket, child ticket, and then something under that. I think it is much more likely you will see us beef up and work on ticket worksheets over time than add kind of that nested, like third nest of a full child, but be able to have more control over your worksheets so that you can get that type of control.
There was a question around, and I'm trying to find it, around loving to have script access in the API, ability to create, update, execute scripts. This is something we hear a lot, and we are actively investing in the API and doing a lot of things. I also saw a question around a native Roost integration. We have had a number of conversations with Roost and working to build kind of an integration there and see what we can do. There's some things that they want. The reason I put these together is they also want script access in the API, and so that's a piece that we're exploring, kind of working with them, and just for all of you to have access to that as we continue to build these plugins. So lots of work to come in the API.
Jordan's asking an interesting question. I'm kind of curious on the answer to too. With the co-managed permissions, he's asking if asset filter views is something that we're looking at adding to the security groups as well.
Don't think that's on our short list. Let me confirm in the back office, but it's definitely something we could consider. So we'll get back to you on that. This is a great question. I agree. Someone's asking, John is asking about app improvements and saying that they're not able to access alerts and then kind of hop in and work in their tickets and assets from alerts. And so I just want to do one quick call out. One of the things that we've seen, and we are considering right now, we still have 2 mobile apps out in the world for Syncro. And so making sure that your app is the Syncro mobile app. It's named Syncro Mobile. It has kind of the updated Syncro logo. And so that app, we are improving, every single month. We're adding features, we're improving it, we're working on it. So if you are using the new mobile app and you're not able to open an alert and easily work on a ticket or hop into an asset, I highly recommend you contact support, because we have, I think, we're up to thousands of folks every week that are in the app, kind of working in the new app. The only reason we haven't sunset the old app yet is where it does have some capabilities in and around invoicing that we don't have in the new app. And so we didn't want to take those away from folks that were using those. And so that's the reason we have both apps, but you might want to take a look and see and just make sure you're in the new app, Syncro Mobile. There's another question here, someone asking, do we have a conference, like even a single day conference or something? We don't have a conference today as Syncro. We have started doing things like Power Hour. Obviously, we have these monthly webinars. Power Hour is much more best practices of, different areas of the product. It's definitely something we could look at. I think in the past, we've done maybe a few hour, virtual conference or things like that. But I love the suggestion, and it would be super fun to do something in person someplace, but we might be able to pull off either something like that or something virtual. Yeah, Andy's house. I love it.
Come down, let's go play poker. Everybody's invited. Let's do it. Someone's asking a question about just random about the ticket status and the API, saying it's not there. It'd be a good add. John, I just double checked because I've done a lot of API work. It's definitely there. So if there's something specific that you're not seeing, you want to see, just ask another question so I understand, because everything I'm looking at exposes the ticket status without a problem. Matthew's saying, is there a way to directly link a chat to a ticket in the future through the chat window? I can copy and oh, well, if you create a ticket, yeah, you would just copy and paste the URL. Sorry, I was gonna answer a different question. Now that I read that, I misunderstood. So yeah, copy and paste is the only way today. I understand what you're asking. I'll raise that with the product team. That's an interesting question.
Great. A couple of questions here. One on API changes, just making sure that folks aren't going to have to rewrite their scripts or do anything if, as we are updating the API. Our plan is to maintain compatibility with your existing work. And so if for some reason, like we are unable to do that because of something that I cannot foresee happening, we will be sure to let you know. But our goal and plan and expectation is that we will maintain that compatibility. You won't have to rewrite anything unless you want to take advantage of something new that we've added. The other question, there are a couple of questions here around MDM and what might we be working on from an MDM perspective. I'd love to hear more if you have something specific in mind. We are investigating working with Intune more closely and integrating there. But if you have other things or if that's interesting to you, feel free to reach out and let me know if that's what you have in mind. And then the final question, Microsoft 365 Sync. Are we planning to add a Sync Now button? We have heard folks would like a Sync Now button, so it is on the list, but I don't have a time frame for that just yet.
Couple more Linux questions. One saying, I'm assuming it will work headless, kind of like how we use background tools. Yes, correct. It's going to be a CLI based directly in the command line. So it will interact directly there. And then the other question was, will there be a Screen Connect integration? And Josh, I don't know that one off the top of my head. We're trying to run that down to see if it will follow kind of the same strategy as all of our other assets, where you can bring your own if you bring your own Screen Connect or other integrations that we have. And I just don't know that. So we're gonna run that down. We'll have a lot of that in documentation as we go live with Linux. And the good news is that will be something for sure. We'll look to drive parity on that over time. So if you do use Screen Connect, you'll be able to leverage it in the platform as you always have.
All right, well, I think that's about it for this go around. Thank you all for attending. We'll see you all next month. And I'm excited to see so much engagement on a lot of the roadmap stuff. I know a lot of this stuff you guys have been asking for a long time. So it's really exciting that it's really happening now. And I know a lot of you are as excited about it as I am about a lot of this. So thanks, everybody.
First, we're going to give away some glasses, aren't we?
Oh, sorry. I was trying to save Syncro some money. So that's on me.
Yay for the glasses.
Sorry, Caitlin.
That's right. It's time to do our random drawing. I've got everyone's names who filled out the form right here, and let's go ahead and spin. All right. And remember, you've got to still be attending to win. So let's see, who's it going to be? All right. It's like Victor. Let me check to see if Victor is still present with us really quick. Oh, fortunately, Victor is not. Okay. We will go to the next person.
That makes me sad for Victor.
That's such bad luck. I know. I feel so bad.
Oh, all right. We've got Jeff, and Jeff is in fact on. I won't try to pronounce your last name. I think it was like Kenta Mesa, maybe that's correct. Jeff, I will contact you right after this webinar, and we'll get you hooked up with some Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Thanks all for participating and for joining our webinars as always.
Congrats, Jeff.
Congrats, Jeff. Thanks
Take care,
for coming,
everybody. We'll see you
everyone.
next month.
Take care,
Bye.
all. Thanks.